Hi gardeners. Today we've got a lot of work to do. We're going to concentrate on talking about when it's time to harvest certain crops. The first things we're going to be looking at are potatoes. Then we'll look at brassicas and some of our other crops such as spring onions and radishes. So let's get to it, shall we? Here in bed number 3, we have our Pontiac Reds. As you can see, there's still some flowers here. And for Pontiac Reds, the flowers are one of our best indicators. Once we see flowers on a Pontiac Red potato, we start counting. About 3 weeks after the flowers, we can have some new potatoes. And aren't they delicious? But then we need to wait about another 3 weeks after that before we start seeing the mature crop available. We saw our first flowering around the 9th of May. The bed was pretty fully flowered by the 12th or the 15th, and we're seeing some of the flowers die off now. So I'm going to start counting around the 12th. I'll add 3 weeks to that, and then another 3 weeks, and we see that late May we can have new potatoes. Today is the 22nd. So literally in about a week we could harvest for new potatoes, but we're going to hold off to about the middle of June to go for our larger Pontiac Reds, okay? So we use the flowering on red potatoes to tell us when to start counting for the harvest. Over here we have Yukon Golds. They don't flower as much, so we watch the color of the plant growth. If the tops of the plants begin to yellow and the stalks begin to brown off, then we realize that these crops are looking to be harvested. Here we got a little leaf curl, but nothing serious. It's still vibrant. So what we can do is maybe look, yeah, see how that's split there? Maybe there can be a little potato in underneath here. Yep, there's one. See him right there. Once we start seeing these little potatoes near the surface, first of all, we want to get them covered up so that they don't go green. There's not a huge need to hill Yukon Golds, but we do want to have extra dirt or compost available in case one has broken out near the surface like this, okay? So we'll just keep him closed up there. Probably looking early June for these, but we'll just let the color be an indication. We've got a little yellowing on some of the lower leaves. We'll keep a watch on that. And that's just the first indication. The plants have been ground, goodness, almost 10 weeks now. We planted well before the last frost. Now, for something like brassicas, in this case cabbage, we're going to look at how firm the head is. There's one of my hated enemies. Those white things are cabbage moths. You can see them around. The holes in the leaves are caused by the caterpillars that will hatch from the eggs of those guys. We use BT spray to cause them intestinal distress. And we also, I use a fly swatter and go after them. But here is an example of what we're looking for. This is a very firm head and very large. So we'll harvest this one today. That is firm. We've got several that are harvesting. And why do I want to harvest them? Let them grow, Ed. Well, we're about ready to get 2 or 3 hot days, up around 32 degrees centigrade, around 90, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. And this will greatly hurt our cabbage, even to the point where some of the heads might split. So those that are the most mature, like this one here, maybe that one. We've got 3 or 4 that are potentially harvestable right there in the 2 to 3 pound range. 1, 2, 3. So we'll probably take those out, maybe a 4th one. because why risk them splitting in the higher temperatures? Another crop that is a brassica is kohlrabi. If you haven't grown kohlrabi, I heartily recommend it. It's wonderful taste. You can serve it either, yes, it's a brassica, so that little white butterfly loves to plant eggs on them too, and you can see the holes up here high. These are caused by larvae. Well, where are they? We spray with Bacterium thuringiensis, which is an organic soil bacteria that gives the caterpillars intestinal distress. They don't like it, they fall off the plant, and the birds say thank you, come in and swoop up the remains. So we have used BT on both our cabbage and our kohlrabi, and you can see we've got a nice stand. And even more, can you see this beautiful bulb that is 3 inches across? As you can see, about that much. This one we're going to harvest today. We'll do that later in the show. Finally, for things like spring onions, harvest these whenever you want. This is, there's 2 here, and these are just begging to be harvested. Here's a problem. If I pull too hard, I can break them off right inside. So I'm going to go get a little hand trowel and we'll pop them right up, okay? And then, things that don't need to work too hard, radishes. I guess he's okay. 1. Golf ball size radish. It's called cherry bells. And apparently they like our soil. It's important to get radishes before it gets too hot because they'll become woody, and that little burn that you want in a radish will become a fire the more the temperature goes up. So there's the last 5 of our radishes. And that's quite a basketball team right there. Yeah, on the right you got the center, and then you got a couple of forwards and 2 guards back there. So know your timing of crops. Potatoes, red potatoes, are all about the flowering. On the yellows, such as Yukon Gold, we watch the foliage. On brassicas, we plant early to try to avoid the heat, and when the heat comes along, we harvest before the heat can do any damage to the crops. So, I'm going to get to work here. Let's see if we don't have, we do. Got a knife. That's dangerous. But I'm going to look at this kohlrabi here. Let me just put this down here. You won't be able to see much. His neighbor there is almost ready to go too. I twist a bit and then let go. And now we'll go clean this guy up. One nice thing about all brassica leaves is they're wonderful for the compost bin. There we are. The leaves can be eaten as well, but I think they would be tough. Look at the size. If you were desperate for food, that's a food source, folks. But let's take a look at the bulb here. There he is. This is a beautiful kohlrabi. It's going to make somebody very happy. We just break off the leaves, until we get to these central core leaves right there. So pretty much anything below half, I'm going to break off. I think that'll be a nice gift for somebody, and they can decide what to do with the larger ones. Beautiful center, over 3 inches across. We'll cut out this bottom stalky part. This can be woody. And I would even cut to about here. And then your knife will feel where it's no longer woody and it's nice, soft flesh like an apple. You can either eat them raw, grate them in salads, or what I do is I cube them up and then roast them next to potatoes, carrots, and onions. It's a nice way to harvest, and it's time to get the brassicas out of ground before the heat really starts making these things woody, okay? So, kohlrabi, a plant you may not have heard of, but tremendous. That's going to be that's a half a pound easily. Let's go weigh. What do you say? Bear with me today, folks. I'm alone here today. Brad, my gardening partner, is off taking a course because he loves his education. But he's been taking care of the watering, and he's been doing a magnificent job. So that's a 1.5 pound kohlrabi, 1 pound, 7.8 ounces. Once we trim back some of the root, that's still about a pound. What a magnificent crop, and the flavor, you're going to love it. Kohlrabi is a plant you need to know more about. We planted them, started them off in seed trays in early February, planted them out right after last frost, early April. So this has been 7 weeks in ground, roughly. And what a magnificent crop. And that's just one. We've got about 14 more over there. So I'd better get to it. Folks, thanks so much for your time. Like and share with a couple hundred of your closest friends. We really do need the people to get the word out that if you're willing to do the work, you're going to enjoy the results of growing your own food. Thanks so much. Bye.